who they are. The two eldest ones.
Ja, det blir jo Gunnar da, og gammel.
Yeah.
Mm.
I thought maybe it could be one of these, but I'm sure this is Jon. Well said. So I will try to work out what happened with them. But also I have a very old photo. That's Peder Valse's mother from Ormundai. She was born in 1777.
Wow.
And it's a picture of her. And if you go to Leikvin, the museum at Sunndalsøra, her home is there. She was born and grew up in that old building at Sunndal, Leikvin, the museum.
Yeah. What was her name?
Ingeborg Jonsdatter Holten. So Jon, that's why Jon came into the family, and now you have Jon written the Norwegian way in California, Jon Husby, on Facebook.
That's quite an impressive picture.
It is.
Do you have an extra one of those?
You can keep this if you like,
I would like
and I
that.
can give you digital photos. Another one. I went to Tingvoll Kommune. They printed it out in A3 for me, so they cut some off. But this is Magnhild Steinarsdotter Ansnes, his father, also born in 1777, with his daughter Ingrid, born in 1850, and Halvor, he was born in 1839, and he went to Valsøyfjord and married the girl who had the Fjærli farm.
Okay.
So that's how you have the Fjærli in Ketchikan. Yeah. Han Sverre Kårde. He shot his first bear when he was 15. Yes. And then you have Peder Eriksen Valseth.
Yeah.
And the siblings at Valseth, Peder, Guro, Anders, Ane, and Henrik. He married at Børset, the neighbor farm.
But are any of the descendants from one of them, do they have that original farm? Or?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so. So if you see a truck with Henrik Børset, Skog og Veg, it's a descendant of this Henrik.
Agricultural school.
No,
Is that what
he's
Is it construction?
yeah,
Okay.
logging and everything. It's industrious. And
What's the name of that farm?
Valseth.
Of course,
Yeah. And this Ane, yes, this Ane, she married on the Virum farm in Virumdalen, Ormundai. And she is the great-great-grandmother of Rannai and Frey, so they are after both of those.
Okay.
Yeah, both sides. Yeah.
So that means some cousins married.
And then you have the oldest one,
Oh yeah, Gjertrud.
Gertrud
Yeah,
Sæther.
that's my great grandmother.
Yeah.
He's quite handsome.
And she married Erik Sæther.
Yeah.
And this story about
Yeah, but
This
I don't believe
things-
a minute of it.
you don't really-
No.
you don't
No.
know.
It doesn't make any sense.
No.
No.
Do you know why it?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's
Started.
the story they told.
Yeah. So they had the Sæther, the farm, and our ancestors, a lot of people here, and they didn't emigrate.
They built the farm instead.
But when it was only the boys, the oldest boy was supposed to inherit the farm. But then the oldest one was Gertrud, but she was a girl, so she couldn't have the farm. But Gunnar, the oldest boy, he was supposed to have the farm. But he married Marit Hoven. Her father was in Stortingsmann in the parliament. He was a church singer, kirkesanger. He was a politician, but it wasn't good enough for old Magnhild in Ungarn. So he went to America
With her?
with her.
Yeah, okay.
And Hoven, so some years ago, I had visitors from Minnesota, Hoven, from that family. So I've been up to his farm. He died in 1970, fairly young for a man in that family. So I have a picture where Halvor, his brother, and our great-grandfather went all the way from Stanwood to McIntosh, Minnesota for the funeral. Yeah. And that's the Gunnar Husby family in McIntosh, Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's Marit Hoven. And you know the Marit, the Hoven Åker farm at Sørlandsøra with the turf roof or subroof. She came from that farm.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't good enough.
So this Hoven, you're a related descendant of her father. Yeah. They were here and they didn't want us to come into the house. Very strange. I think they live at Dombås or some places. So they don't live here, but they're not interested. So we have Gunnar and I have met Gudrun here. No, not the daughter. Yeah, so Freden. She was married Fredensberg, I know. And John, he was a kind of minister of agriculture for Minnesota. Yeah.
Did you meet him or?
Sorry.
Did you meet any of?
No. Not that. He was very, similar with Erik.
Yes.
Yeah. So I just noticed, I saw this picture when I was a young boy, and my father said, "Well, that's Bastefar's brother in America, Gunnar, in Minnesota." I said, and so that's why I knew about it.
What part of Minnesota is the farm?
North,
North. Okay.
McIntosh. You have Bemidji.
Yeah, Bemidji. Yeah.
Bemidji, yeah, and just east of Bemidji.
Okay.
So Gudrun Fredensberg, her daughter, she was probably 102, 103 years old when she died. And she lived in Bemidji.
Yeah, of course.
So I visited her.
Okay.
She was only 90 or something. And then we have our guy, Erik.
Yeah. What a handsome devil.
Handsome devil.
Yeah.
Yes. And he was one of the brothers who found a wife among the girls who went to school in Ungarn. Our great grandmother Randi.
Wow. Oh, she went to school in Ungarn?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Det är Randi Hjelnes.
Randi Hjelnes. And my father said that people said it was the nicest couple they'd seen coming out of Tingvoll Church. But Randi didn't like this photo because it wasn't taken at the wedding.
Nej.
It was taken afterwards, and she was scared that
Ja.
something could, somebody could think it's the wedding photo because
Little bulge.
a little about her life, his life.
How many kids do they have?
10.
Cool.
And here, an interesting photo. So, old Erik, he went to 2 different schools in Denmark, and he worked in Porsche at a nursery for plants, horticulture. And in 1874, 75, that winter, he went to Vallekilde Høgskole,
In Denmark?
Denmark. Erik here, and his brother Gunnar is half hidden here. And another from Øksendal, Nils Bruseth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I can't find him.
No.
So I got this one from I went to Vallekilde in Denmark, and I forgot it was the National Day in Denmark, so but I met a teacher. He gave me the name of someone in the archives, so then I got it from the state archives in Denmark. So I took this one from this school photo.
Is that so? That's Erik.
Yeah. And that school was a school for everything new, in agriculture, horticulture, everything,
There's
the latest.
lot of stuff happening right then.
Yeah.
In farming.
And how they could go from Øksendal in 1874. And those were the only outside Denmark that year. 3 from Øksendal.
Yeah.
Nice clothes.
Very. Built to last.
And then, when Gunnar didn't want to take the farm and went to America, my great-grandmother, she didn't want to go to Ungarn, because when Marit Hoven wasn't good enough, she didn't want to go there. So they bought the farm that year. Where they had a school, horticulture school, for 10 years.
Okay. So was the farm already there? They bought
Yes,
an
but not the
existing
house.
farm?
They built a new house
Built a
and
new house. Okay.
built a warehouse down at the sea and
Is
built
that
the house
the
we
house
saw today.
where you grew up then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's sitting here. The teacher and the principal is sitting just down there.
Yeah, with a rake.
Yeah, yeah. I think it tells a little about him. That he's just sitting there, the
wonderful
principal and the teacher instead. And my grandfather is here, Nils. But that was in 1877. He has been a farm keeper or whatever for Bjørnstjerne Bjørnson in Gaustad, Erik. And he asked Bjørnson to go to Øksendal because they're going to be engaged. And when he came back, he had a photo of Randi. And Bjørnstjerne Bjørnson said, "Du må være en lykkelig mann, Erik." So, Bjørnstjerne Bjørnson is one of the famous
Most famous
author.
writers. Like a national treasure.
Yeah. So you must be a very lucky man.
Oh.
Happy man.
He grew up actually just out there.
Yeah, Nesset.
In the next field over.
And then, after some years, 15, 16, 17, 18 years, the oldest son of Erik and Randi took over the farm, and the 9 others emigrated to America. And that's, I think it has a connection because all the siblings of brothers and sisters of Randi have emigrated. And one sister came back from America to try to get her over. But she had 2 half-brothers because her father had 2 sons before he married.
So So this
So
is
that's the-
Randi and Erik.
Randi, Erik.
Yeah, and their kids.
Yeah. And this one was taken in Portland, Oregon,
Ah,
when they were all gathered, because Asbjørg, Mora's grandmother, she went first with the first cousin from Orkney, Valset. And then my grandfather was 22, and he went with Gunnar, who was 15. He was supposed to go with his brother Magnus, who was 20, but he got sick. So to don't lose the ticket, the money. So 22 and 15, and they went over to try to get the farm, and went up to the lakes to Canada and cross over. And their uncle Hollywood came up to Bellingham or the area to take. So, yeah, he was Henrik too, probably named after his uncle who died during the gold rush
before
in
night.
Klondike. And he drowned as 11, 12 years old in Skagit River, north of Stanwood. And that's Gunvor. And she was more than 100 years old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
over 103, maybe 106.
So is that your grandmother then?
No, this is my grandmother.
That's your grandmother.
And that's Magnhild. She married a man from
Betty and
Harstad
Cynthia's
in
grandmother.
up in Petersburg, Alaska. So all these, except of course he died when he was young, all these came back to Norway and saw their home country again, except Ragna. She was the only one.
Where did she live?
She lived down in Oregon someplace. Married a guy from Bergen, and kind of been a little bit outsider in the family in a way. Yeah.
Okay.
But then the oldest son, which isn't here, Peder, he took over the farm, but he went broke, so they had to sell. He had to sell the farm in the auction. And then my grandfather went back after 14 years as a farmer and a logger in America, went back, and they all got together. I think Magnus and grandfather and my great grandfather got together to get some money to buy the farm back. So that's why I'm not American.
Yeah.
So I grew up with this,
Yeah.
back and forth across the Atlantic. And they had a farm, very different from the farm at the year. They built up a new farm at Fur, this north of Stanwood. Henrik and Gunvor. Yeah.
I'll be right back. I
So
check them.
when our great grandmother didn't want to stay in Ungarn, Steinar took over and married Guru Anna from Trøndelag. So he stayed in Ungarn. But then the next one, Halvor, he emigrated, married a girl from Averøya, Anne Helseth, and they had 3 kids, 3 babies died.
Yeah.
3 babies died, and they had 2 left, and then she died in giving birth. Yeah. So in Silvana, the white church on the hill south of Stanwood, these babies are buried
Oh.
just when you come to the church on the right hand side.
Så
So
den var det sa du?
Halvor
Ah,
and his yes, a lot of people after him. Peder, going Peter or Pete, Uncle Pete. He was a lawyer. He was in his kind of scientific, like kind of organization, very strange person. He didn't want to cut the grass before it was all dead, for instance. Very special type.
Mm.
And Gunnar, he took over the farm. But he and Sina, they got divorced, so they split the farm in two.
Mm.
So that's. And then you have
Where was that farm?
south of Stanwood in
Oh, yeah.
Washington.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or close to Silvana. And that's Ingeborg. And she married Jon Lien, a farmer in Jordalsgrenda, close to Øksendal. But he died, and she had one daughter and a son. It was Sigrid and Lars. And she built the house here in Øksendal. But both emigrated. And later she sold the house and went to America.
Mm.
So her family have this Dunlap towing company. They
Okay.
go all the Pacific Ocean and up in Alaska. So I've been on the farm and met Jim many times. We had a concert in the Fur Conway Church.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then he had seen it in the paper that I was coming, so he came to the concert. But he had a tugboat, something going on, so he was just there for 5 minutes and have to go again. And then Ildrid, she married landsmann, Sheriff Jakob Løve,
Mm.
Ildrid Løve, født Husby, born Husby. And what do you call it? A widower, you call it? Yeah,
Mm.
Ankermann.
Mm.
But they had 3 children together, Jakob and Ildrid. And that far, Løve, that's Lauvøya, when you go Atlantic Road, Atlanterhavsveien, you come, there's a sign, Lauvøya. And the very nice houses is Åker,
Mhm.
the main house, and a very nice place. So she's buried at Follan gravsted, Averøy. And then you have Jon, the smallest guy,
Mm.
is over here. He married Karen Engdahl, and she was in Ungarn for a girls' school. So this is the second of them got the wife there. So I know some of the people,
Do you know if that Engdahl is related to Jacqueline Engdahl?
I don't know. So I met some of the people, and he was fylkesgartner. Could you call fylkesgart in Sogn og Fjordane? Sogn?
County.
Tax assessor?
Nei, Gartner.
Oh, Gartner.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, if you call Sundari County, what could you call fylke?
It's sort of a county too.
Yeah,
That would be a county
region,
too, but
bigger
it's-
region
Yeah.
in Sogn. So he was educated in horticulture at Ås, the university. So, and he was born in 73, but I forgot Henrik. I said something about Henrik, but Arnt, this sitting one, yeah, doesn't matter. This Arnt, born in 69. He also emigrated to America and was down in South Oregon, but he didn't have any contact with his family. And my father heard that he was a very strange person from he was a boy. He had kind of, he wanted to go backwards down the stairs in Ungarn places, and they, yeah, I don't know. They didn't know what life he had. But Erik got a telegram that he was passed away, and they took him up to Anderson Cemetery just south of East Stanwood. Yeah. And then you have Magnhild. She's the only one I knew, because she died in 73 or 4. So she was born in 78.
Magnhild, Lee,
Yeah.
Husby Lee, she died more in the mid-80s, because we had taken my boys up to Petersburg
Yeah.
after I met Joe,
Yeah.
and that was probably 84 or so, and she was in Mountain View Manor.
Yeah.
A long-term
yeah.
home, so.
So this is from the album I found in McIntosh, Minnesota.
Oh,
With
Well,
Gertrude, Gertrude
Yeah.
Husby at the farm.
mhm.
His old album.
Mm.
She didn't know any names.
Oh,
So she was a teacher at Eidsvoll,
I saw, yeah, I heard henne.
and she went down to Eidsvoll sometimes in the summertime when she was old, visiting her pupils in the
I guess she was
old
a real
people's
character.
home and
Yeah.
nursing homes. Yeah. And that's another one I found in America, of Ragnhild. She lived in Orvinaia, and sometimes she just came to a year with the bus. She had a very old type clothing, like it's a phantom, like drakt. Very old, you see in old pictures. Dark blue,
Yeah.
almost black, with the hood, and she had this ski pole in the winter time. So
Those old women, there was
yeah,
something.
and she was born in 78, and her father was born in 1824, and I knew her.
Yeah.
It's very strange. Yeah. So that's well, she took the bus and she just came up to the farm in Uppigarn, and she stayed for 3 weeks. She just came. She didn't call or anything, she was a menace for my mother because she complained on everything. Our spoons were too small because she wanted the old spoons.
Yeah, the big ones.
And we had some chocolate powder we put in the milk, and that was wrong. She had never taken any pills in her whole life. It was 96. And she bought a farm at Orvinaia,
Yeah.
and she just took half of the land and built up a new farm and sold the original farm.
What was the name of the farm again? Lille... no.
Ja, Lillebråten, Storbråten,
Storbråten.
yeah, Skauline,
Skauline,
the new one.
Ah.
And there Skauline. And then she, the year she died, she bought a new house. She built a new house on the farm. Yeah. And she had arguments with the carpenters and the plumbers, and the bathroom, the water didn't go down in the slough, and so on. So she was 96. She was a character.
Well,
Yeah, that's the family, in short.
What a family.
Thank you. It sounds
Oh,
like
On the very original paper with all the original children, the first picture that you looked at, would you identify them again? Very,
Here? No.
the
The
very
young one, yes.
oldest.
Yeah. Well, it's going on. It's here in the beginning. Oh, it's there.
There's more.
Yeah.
Will you identify who is who
Crazy
in that one?
Norwegians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe, would you, I want her to identify and I want to show my
Score.
sister. So Eric is missing.
Yeah. Peder Eriksen Valseth and the wife Magnhild Steinarsdotter Ansnes from Todalen. And the oldest one was Gjertrud, married Sæter, with her two oldest children. And then we had Gunnar, who emigrated to McIntosh, Minnesota. And then our great-grandfather Erik, who bought a farm at Year and later emigrated to America. He isn't here because he is at the school in southern Norway. Then we have Steinar, who took over the Ungarn farm. And then Gunnar, who emigrated to McIntosh, Minnesota. And then Henrik, who died during the gold rush. And Arnt, he died in Oregon, but buried in Anderson Cemetery in Stanwood. And then Ingeborg married Lien in Øksendal, but he died and she emigrated to America after her two children emigrated first. And then Ildrid married Løve at Lauøya, the Atlantic Road, Atlanterhavsveien. And then Jon, and he lived down at Sogn og Fjordane, educated in horticulture, and is buried down there. That's all, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.